Hey guys, Brad from simpleguitar.com, and thanks for coming back for another video. Today, I'm going to show you 3 strategies that I use to help students memorize the notes on the fretboard. Now, this is one thing that I will start students on rather early because it's one of the most helpful things. And then a lot of students won't do the practice of memorizing the notes. And then later they come back and they're like, oh, I should have listened to you. I should have started memorizing my notes earlier because now I see how useful it is. So don't do that. Start memorizing the notes on the fretboard. It's not as daunting as it seems. It's actually a lot easier. And I hope that these 3 things that we're going to do today is going to make that even easier for you so that you can start memorizing notes all across the entire fretboard. One of the major problems with traditional guitar methods is they spend all their time down here on your first 3 or 4 frets, and that's it. And you don't spend hardly any time on the rest of the fretboard for a very long time. What we're going to do today is going to cover the whole fretboard, demystify the whole thing, and make it easy to understand. So memorizing the notes on your fretboard is going to make it easier for you to navigate your fretboard. It's going to make it easier for you to communicate with other guitar players and other musicians who play other instruments. And it's going to give you a super solid foundation for understanding why and how different music theory concepts work the way that they do. On top of all that, though, knowing the notes of your fretboard, and when you combine that with a little bit of music theory knowledge, is really going to unlock the gate for you to get creative and no longer be restricted by a lack of knowledge, so that you can play everything across the entire fretboard and have all sorts of fun. And one of the big bonuses to the strategies that I'm going to show you is that it only takes 5 or 10 minutes a day of practice to do this. And in a matter of weeks, if you're consistent with that, your understanding of the fretboard and where all the notes are on the fretboard is going to be way better, but only 5 or 10 minutes. You don't have to spend more time than that. Strategy number 1, picking a string and memorizing the notes up and down the string. In a previous video that I did about music notes on the guitar, I go over this, but basically what you're doing is you're memorizing all the notes between fret 1 and fret 12 on any given string. This helps reinforce your knowledge of the musical alphabet or the chromatic scale because you're doing all 12 notes back and forth, okay? So what I would do is I would have students start out on the 6th string and go like this. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, and then you come back down and you say the flat. So it'd be E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E. And you do that, you repeat that. You spend only 5 or 10 minutes a day doing this. Now, when you're memorizing the single strings like this, and you start with your 6th string, and then you do it on your 5th string, and then you do your 4th string, and your 3rd string, and your 2nd string, and then when you do your 1st string, it's going to be really familiar because it's the exact same as your 6th string, okay? But when you're doing this, you're associating the note. Say I'm learning this A note, right? I'm associating that note with my A flat and with my B flat, or with my G sharp and my A sharp. The notes that are directly next to it, above and below in the musical alphabet. And this strategy is the easiest one to do because it's the same on all the strings. It's just you're starting at a different point because each string is a different starting note, but the order is always the same. So this is the easiest one to get started on. And like I said, 5 or 10 minutes a day, and you start doing this and it's going to help a lot. Strategy number 2 is different from just memorizing the notes across strings. What we're going to do is we're going to pick a fret and we're going to memorize all 6 notes on that fret. So there's 1 note per string on each fret, and we're going to memorize all of those. So for example, let's pick fret number 5. If I pick fret number 5, on my 6th string, I have an A note. On my 5th string, I have D. On my 4th string, I have G. On my 3rd string, it's C. On my 2nd string, it's E. And then on my 1st string, it's A again. Then you go back down. A, E, C, G, D, A. And then you get comfortable with that fret. You go up and down memorizing those. Now, this is really good because now, instead of associating the note with the note above and below it in the musical alphabet, we're associating the note with the notes on the next adjacent strings that are on the same fret. So this is just a totally different angle that you're associating that note with. And so it helps reinforce your knowledge of those notes rather than just understanding where it is in the musical alphabet. Now you're associating it with your adjacent strings around it. Now this one is more difficult than doing the strings up and down, but it's worth it in the end. So you pick a fret, like your 5th fret is always great to start with, and then you pick another fret, like your 3rd fret, or your 7th fret, or your 4th fret, whatever it is, and you just spend a few minutes a day memorizing a fret. So one day you could spend memorizing the notes up and down a string. The next day, you're memorizing the notes across a fret for 5 or 10 minutes. Piece of cake. If you do this, like I said, you're associating those notes with a totally different angle, and it helps reinforce your knowledge. Now, strategy number 3, and this is my most favorite one. If I have students who are short on time, this is the one that I have them do. It's my favorite one. It's the best one. And this one is awesome because most people, when they work on memorizing notes on the fretboard, they rely a lot on patterns. And this is going to help you with instant recall of your notes. So you're not going to have to go, if I want a B flat on my 3rd string, you don't have to go, well, I have a B flat here, and then the octave of B flat is this here, and there's my B flat, right? That's not what you do. You don't want to have to rely on a pattern. You want to be able to just think and go B flat, 3rd string, right there. Piece of cake. And this 3rd strategy is really what's going to help with that. We're going to be memorizing individual notes across all 6 strings. Now, between your 1st fret and your 12th fret on your fretboard, every single note appears one time on each string. So we're going to pick a note like F. Let's do F, for example. And we're going to memorize the position of that note on the 6th string. And then we're going to go to the 5th string. And then we're going to go to the 4th string. And then we're going to go to the 3rd string. And then we're going to go to the 2nd string. And then we're going to go to the 1st string. Okay. And we're going to go up the strings and then back down the strings, not skipping strings. You're memorizing the position of that note on each string. So for example, if I'm doing F, then I would go F, 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 F. Okay? And so that way, the more that you do that, the more that you work on your instant recall on each string. So one day, pick a note and then do that note up and down, memorizing the individual position for that note on each string. As you get better, put on a metronome. Do this with the metronome, just playing one note up to speed. And you can start with something like 40 beats per minute or 60 beats per minute, and then increase the speed to make it more difficult. When you get really good, you could go up with one note and come down with a different note. Or you could have a friend call out random notes for you and have you change on the fly. There's lots of things that you can do as you get more and more advanced with this. But just starting with memorizing one note and doing each position on each string without skipping strings is great, because then you're not relying on patterns and it works on your instant recall for those notes, so that when you need that note, it's really easy for you to find it. So that's it, guys. Pretty quick and simple today, but doing these 3 things and only spending 5 or 10 minutes a day is really going to help you memorize the notes all across your fretboard. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to put a fretboard diagram with 24 frets, which most guitars don't have 24 frets, but just in case you do, I will put a fretboard diagram of 24 frets at my website. If you go to simpleguitar.com/fretboard, you're going to get a free PDF there that is all 24 frets on the guitar with every single note, so that you can find your notes going up and down the strings, going across frets, and then when you're doing individual notes across each string. And while you're there, you can also get a free copy of the top 10 things to learn on guitar first, which is a guide that I've put together for you. It's 17 pages. I recently updated it a few weeks ago. Before it was like 6 pages of stuff, but I really went in depth with everything. to make it more valuable for you so that you can get more out of it and get more help from it, so that you can learn these 10 things and start getting a lot more bang for your buck to be able to impress your friends and your family with actual music faster, rather than just playing stuff like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or doing finger exercises. This is actual stuff that will help you play real music a lot faster and have more fun on the guitar, because that's what it's about. It's about being able to play music quickly. So go to simpleguitar.com/fretboard, and there you can download a free PDF with a whole diagram of 24 frets of all the notes on the fretboard in standard tuning. And while you're there, pick up a free copy of the top 10 things to learn on guitar first if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. Leave me a comment down below if you have any questions, or if this video was helpful for you. Let me know down in the comments, and thanks for liking and subscribing and sharing the video. I appreciate you guys. You guys rock, and I will catch you in the next video.